So let's pray to God that the audio is linked up. So I am doing something a little different. I have a separate audio recording for the audio itself. That's different from what I've done in the past because I'm a lazy bum. I would always just record it on Zoom, use the Zoom audio, call it a day. Now I'm trying to increase, the value, the production, everything like that. Shout out to my completely filled trash can over there that I've been too lazy to take out the garbage. Anyway, welcome back to another episode of .NET Phillies. The reason I didn't record last week, life got crazy. On Friday, we were preparing. We were having like a housewarming party kind of thing here at my new house, and we just, that. And then Saturday, I was actually at the game against Pittsburgh, and Sunday, we were kind of running around like a chicken with their head cut off. So I didn't record, but I do apologize. I know it's early in the season, and I got to be better than that. But I'm here now, and we're just gonna keep the good vibes going, keep it rolling, and go from there. Now, for today's episode, we have headlines, obviously. We also have the series overview, which the Phillies swept the Colorado Rockies, which is awesome. We also are unveiling two brand new segments for this podcast, as well as the Minor League Digest, and wrapping it all up with the series preview against the Chicago White Sox. So, getting right into stuff, the headlines that I have here, the stuff I kind of want to talk about for this episode. We have Taijuan Walker on his way to returning, and I kind of touched on this a little bit in the last episode of what do you do with him? What do the Phillies do with Taijuan Walker? And that's kind of the mystery of this season, in my opinion. Of you have this guy that you're spending all this money on and paying, but you have a rotation, at least a 1 through 4 of Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, Ranger Suarez, and Christopher Sanchez, and it comes down to who's that fifth starter. So far, we've seen Spencer Turnbull kind of get his opportunity and kind of run with it for the most part. Yes, his last start against the Pirates was a little shaky, but still very, very solid for what you're looking for out of a fifth starter. And now it comes down to, what do you do as an organization when you're looking at who do we value more as our fifth starter? The guy that is giving us production and the guy that is being significantly better from what we saw last year of Taijuan Walker? Or do we use the guy that we paid? However, we don't know what he's going to look like in the regular season. And I understand that, he deserves to earn his job back and deserves to get that opportunity. I get that. But is this Phillies team going to be too stubborn to kind of look at that and be like, nah, it's fine. We'll be fine. We'll be fine with Taijuan, dealing with, his fifth starts and everything like that? Or are they actually going to go, you know what? The best thing for us right now is if you were in the bullpen. If you were a long man, mop-up guy in the bullpen, yes, I understand we're paying you all this money, but for the betterment of the team, this is the role you're going to be put in. And I kind of touched on it a little bit in the last episode as well, where starting pitching's kind of at a premium right now. You've seen injuries from across the board. You have Spencer Strider going down with Tommy John, Shane Bieber. We've seen the Rays be riddled with injuries, the Dodgers be riddled with injuries on the pitching side of stuff, even the Astros. And so starting pitching depth is definitely at a premium. I was one in the camp of trading Taijuan Walker. I don't think they are, first of all, and I don't think they should, especially because, as I mentioned, the starting pitching market is at a premium now. However, if a team is willing to overpay the Phillies in order to obtain the services of one Taijuan Walker, who am I to stop them from doing it? It's not my money, not my team. If a team like, the Rays, the Dodgers, one of these teams that kind of need another starter because one of their guys got hurt, by all means, go ahead and take Taijuan Walker off of our hands. I will not be mad at it at all. But you also, I don't think just cutting ties with them entirely is the smartest, nor the correct decision. And I think that is a decision that, the front office and, the higher ups are really thinking about of what are we going to do with Taijuan Walker when he inevitably returns. Speaking of the pitching staff has just been incredible this entire season outside of opening day and outside of what Gregory Soto did tonight. The pitching staff from start to finish is fantastic. You have a 1 through 5 of, Zach Wheeler, who, yes, he doesn't have a win yet, but it doesn't matter. We know these losses that Zach Wheeler are, we know these losses that Zach Wheeler, we know the losses the Phillies have when Zach Wheeler's on the mound, if I could use my words there, are not his fault. Yes, he gave up that grand slam, but that inning started with Bohm booting that ball for an error, and it kind of spiraled out of control from there. So it comes down to, what does, we know what you're getting with Zach Wheeler. Zach Wheeler's the ace of this staff. We made the statement when Rob Thompson decided to go with Zach Wheeler over Aaron Nola for opening day. Aaron Nola, you paid him that huge contract, and in his start against Colorado, he looked really, really good, and he's looked very, very good all season, again, outside of that start on opening weekend, but I think that was more of a death by paper cuts kind of thing than it is the status quo with Aaron Nola. You then get to Ranger Suarez, who we'll talk about Ranger Suarez, later on in this episode, including one of the new segments. Ranger Suarez is quickly emerging as an ace, as a guy that, we always talk about with this Phillies pitching staff of 1A and 1B. Now you truthfully might have 1A, 1B, and 1C with Ranger Suarez. So, like I said, we'll talk about Ranger a little bit later on. Chris Sanchez was dominant again tonight, so he's been a high-end 4, probably more so a 3 than a 4. And then, like I mentioned with Spencer Turnbull, is, he was a guy who took a cheap deal, kind of a 1-year prove-it deal with the Phillies, and he's kind of making the best of it on the starter side of stuff. And like I mentioned, you have guys who's rehabbing in Taijuan Walker. You have guys in the minor leagues in a, Mick Abel, we might see him this year. Griff McGarry, they more so changed him more into a starter than a reliever, a reliever than a starter, which I guess is the best thing for him moving forward. He had command issues later on in the game, so just condensing that to 1, 2, 3 inning frames, I think is the best thing for course of action. Then, on the minor league side, you have David Buchanan, who's looked very well. He pitched a very, very good game this past week for the Lehigh Valley Iron Pigs. You have depth from, top to bottom in terms of starting pitching. Then you get to the bullpen. I mean, that bullpen has been ridiculous. Again, outside of what Greg Soto did tonight, you look from top to bottom. Junior Marte has been fantastic. You have Seranthony, Seranthony's weird. We know what Seranthony can be, and he's shown it in spots, but he still gives up the long ball way too much. He is still very homer happy, so I don't know if we're ever going to see the version of Seranthony we saw in 2022 again. I really don't at this point. It'd be great if we can get that version back, because this Phillies offense is significantly better with him being, this Phillies pitching staff is significantly better with Seranthony Dominguez. But, you have Seranthony, you have, like I mentioned, Marte, you have Jeff Hoffman, who has been unreal, and we'll talk about Jeff Hoffman when we talk about that first Rockies game, linebacker Jeff Hoffman. And then you have Ricardo Pinto, is more so a mop-up guy at this point. And then you look at the lefties. Matt Strahm has been, I would argue, the best Phillies reliever to date. You have Alvarado, strike 1, strike 2, good luck. And then, you have Soto, which, Greg Soto, I don't know what you do with him. He completely, it's the blow-ups again. I mean, it was the problem last year. It's minimizing the big innings, and he just hasn't done that. In a third of an inning today, he gave up 5 runs. It was just bad. Like, the game today should not have been as close as it was, and that's all due to Greg Soto. You had to use Hoffman. You had to use Alvarado. And yes, I understand those guys are rested, and I understand that you have the off day tomorrow, but it doesn't make it any less more annoying, when you have to go to those guys in those situations. So I don't know what you really do with Greg Soto in that instance. Delicious. But outside of that blow up, I trust every single guy in the Phillies pitching rotation. And then it comes down to, what is the offense going to give you? Prior to tonight's game, they've been struggling offensively. They got a little hotter in game 2 and 3, but overall this season, the Phillies offense has been extremely disappointing. This was a strong suit of this team. It was kind of the old adage, ball go boom. It doesn't matter how many runs you give up when you have this offense. And now, the pitching staff is fantastic from starter to relievers. This pitching staff is incredible. Now, what do eventually it's going to break. This offense is way too talented, and we kind of saw glimpses of it in this game, or excuse me, in this series. What is this team going to be? Honestly, and I think it's no surprise to anybody, they're World Series favorites, I would think. Especially with the way this rotation is playing out right now, you need to take that into account, and you also need to look at the Phillies the Phillies offense is not going to be this bad all year. This Phillies offense eventually is going to come into its own, and when they do, watch out, because they are going to be dangerous, a dangerous team, and we haven't had that really since the heydays of Howard, Utley, Rollins. Even last year they had their struggles down the stretch, and I didn't feel as confident as I do right now, back in 22 and 23, when they went on those runs, than I do with this team right now. And I understand it's still only April, but you see it. You see how good this team can be and the depth that they have. It's just great to see. And, you look at guys like Brandon Marsh, who I think is going to be an all-star here. I have that in one of my notes. I believe Brandon Marsh is going to be an all-star. Brandon Marsh, I made a TikTok about it, and people agreed. Like, he's not a bench guy. They're finally not treating him like a bench guy. He's finally getting everyday at-bats, as he should, against lefties and righties. And he's hitting the ball. Like, he's playing great defense. He made a great defensive play yesterday to throw out a guy at second. And it was just a perfect relay. Like, he is just such a great player, and it's so good to see that we have him until 2028, and you don't have to worry about paying that guy. Obviously you want him to be a Philly for life because he's just one of those guys, but you don't have to worry about that for 5 seasons. You just let him roll out there every single day, and that's awesome. You had guys like Trey Turner, who, hey, I forgot Trey Turner was a batting champion, a multi-time batting champion, because he is hitting the piss out of the ball right now. It's not this slow start, and yes, Trey, kind of got out to a slow start, but now he's hitting the hell out of the ball, and he's producing at a very high level for this Phillies offense, and it's finally that spark plug that the Phillies paid him for, and he's finally coming into his own. Finally. Now here comes the difficult thing. What do you do with Nick Castellanos? Ever since the NLCS last year, Nick Castellanos has looked lost at the plate. We saw it throughout the NLCS last year. We saw it in spring training this year, and we've seen it to begin the season this year. What do you do with Nick Castellanos? In my opinion, I think you need to give him a few days off. I know they're not going to, but he kind of just needs a hard reset. I mean, it's 3-4 pitches maximum before he's out. He's not making great contact. He's flailing at balls. He just looks completely lost at the plate right now. If it was up to me, I'd be playing Pache, Rojas, and Marsh from right to left. I would be allowing Pache to get some more regular ABs and kind of give Castellanos a few days off to kind of decompress, reevaluate, reassess everything. And honestly, the drop-off offensively is not that bad when you're putting Pache out there, because for right now, Castellanos is hitting below 150. So that's what I think they should do. Are they going to do it? No, absolutely not. They're going to see this off day and pray to God that, it comes through and everything's hunky-dory, but you can't bank on that. I think it's early enough to where they don't have to make that decision. But eventually, if this continues, what do you do with him? He's owed way too much money to get rid of him. I think I was talking to a few of my friends, and they said they should have sold high on him in the offseason. But the thing that I was kind of talking to other people about it, that the thing that Nick Castellanos brings is the stuff he does off the field. I mean, you look at the beginning of 2022, he gets here as a free agent, and Bohm has the I bleeping hate this place game, and, it blows up everywhere, and Nick Castellanos kind of takes him under his wing, kind of looks at him and says, hey, look, I've been there before. I understand what you're going through, and I want you to know that you're not alone, that you're not alone, and I've been in your position. Then, Bohm does what he has been doing since 2022. You had last year with Johan Rojas coming into the league, and, we saw it in the postseason and even later towards the season. Rojas had his chest out and flexing and doing his thing after making catches and everything like that. The stuff that he brings off the field is so important, and you can't get rid of camaraderie. That camaraderie that this Phillies team has is so important to their success. And, you look at a guy like Castellanos, Stubbs, Schwarber, guys who are culture guys. That is so important to this Phillies team because, honestly, they didn't have that before 2022. 21, you had Brad Miller and, his good vibes and everything like that. 2020, God, forget about it. 2019, same thing with Brad Miller. You had the bamboo and everything like that. Like, they never had, culture, locker room guys until they brought in Schwarber, Castellanos. They traded for Stubbs. That stuff is important. So getting rid of Castellanos, I don't think is the right idea from a vibe standpoint. And I know that's cliche to say. Yes, I said that right. Cliche to say, but that's the truth. Because you can't get rid of vibes. Vibes are too good with Castellanos off the field to justify trading him. That being said, you need to look at what he's doing on the field. He's not producing. I think it should be Pache out there take the White Sox series off. But then, to counterpoint my own counterpoint, the White Sox pitching staff is atrocious. So maybe that could be a get-right series for him. It's such a double-edged sword. I really don't know. And then you go to Great American Ballpark with the Reds, and he hits great. He was a part of that Reds team that was, playoffs in 2020, 2021. So, I don't know what they're going to do with Nick Castellanos, but hey, that's why they don't pay me to make those decisions. That's why they pay the big brains in the Phillies front office. So, getting into the series against the Colorado Rockies, we have Game 1 was won by a final score 2-1. My player of the game was Jeff Hoffman. Jeff Hoffman comes into the ninth, and he's been kind of shaky in the ninth inning, to tell you the truth. He hasn't been as locked down as I would like him to be. Coming back to my point of he should be a fireman, kind of come into big situations, kind of like we saw tonight. Went in, did his job, didn't give up any runs of his own. He allowed an inherited run, but that ball was hit on the line by Blackmon to Harper. So I like him better in that role. I don't think he fits the mold of traditional closer, in my opinion. He has the stones to do it, of course, but so far in a few appearances, it hasn't looked great from him. But get the ninth inning, he bounces the ball, and for some reason, the Rockies had Kyle Freeland running, which I will never understand. But that's above my pay grade. The ball gets kicked, and then Hoffman makes a great relay, kind of like shoves him out of the way of home plate and is able to record the out. You then, Jeff Hoffman talked to Kyle Freeland, who was the Rockies pitcher, and said, "Sorry, look, it's a game." Kyle Freeland, great sport, said, "Hey, look, man, I get it." Was bang bang, and Phillies were able to get out of it. You then had the walk off by Christian Pache to win it, and it's such it's such a double-edged sword because I want to talk about how poorly the Phillies offense performed against Cal Quantrill, and even Austin Gomber yesterday. But they put up 5 runs against they're getting better. They're getting better offensively, and that's something that I didn't think was going to happen with this team. This team was originally built where it's offense first, and we're just going to we're going to slug you to death. That's how this that's how this club was built, was we're going to beat you to death with our offense. Our pitching's one thing. We have Wheeler, Nola, but we're going to slug you to death. That's how we're going to win ball games. And so far this year, we haven't really seen that. We've seen the pitching staff step up significantly. And we saw that with Aaron Nola, 7 1/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 9 strikeouts. That is fantastic for Aaron Nola. A great bounce back from, not a bounce back, but his velocity was up. And we mentioned in the Gallup article in the game, in the series against the Cardinals, that that last game he didn't want to put stress on his arm in terms of location. That's why he was sitting 89, 90 instead of 93, 94, 95 like we normally see with Aaron Nola. And we kind of saw that in this game. His strikeout numbers were up. The curveball had bite. He was locating his fastball significantly better. And I understand it's the Rockies, but it is a very good get-right game for Aaron Nola, especially because fastball location is so important to Aaron Nola's game, and he had a lot of that in this game against the Rockies. And then you get to, give me 1 second, sorry. Oh, Sixers won. 76ers, clap your hands, everybody. I mean, that's at least what my brother just texted me, and now I don't want to seem like an idiot, so I'm going on Twitter. I am going on. Okay, yes, they won. They won. Right? Google does exist. I want to make sure I'm not going to look like an idiot. Let me just see. They did. They won by 105 to 104. Clap your hands, everybody, for Philadelphia 76ers. I don't really like basketball that much, to tell you the truth, but that's awesome. Be the number one Sixers fan when they make it to the finals, or they lose in the second round again, like they do every year. Anyway, my brother just texted me. That's why I went on that little tangent. So, so Aaron Nola looked great. The bullpen did its thing. We all know what this bullpen can do and what they have done all year. Then we get to game 2, and I unfortunately did not watch this game. I went to the movies to see Civil War with my brother and a couple friends. Civil War, very good movie, A24 movie with Kirsten Dunst, and Jesse Plemons is in it for a little bit, and Nick Offerman. Very, very good movie, road movie about journalists. Special place in my heart. So, very good movie, but I only was able to catch. I was only able to catch the last 2 innings of this game, which I'm happy I did. But you had a complete game shutout by Ranger Suarez. The Phillies won 5-0. Obviously, my player of the game is Ranger Suarez. I mean, complete game, 7 hits, no earned runs, one walk, 8 strikeouts. It's just unreal what Ranger Suarez is becoming, and he's coming into his own as a bullpen guy. Ranger Suarez is coming into his own as a starter. I kind of talked about it in the beginning, where the Phillies were always 1A and 1B with Wheeler and Nola, and now you have a legitimate thing of 1A, 1B, and 1C. You legitimately have a 3-headed monster at the top of this rotation with Ranger Suarez, because he's just so cool, calm, collected, dotting his balls on both sides, and just pinpoint accuracy, and just, he's like Cliff Lee in his prime. He's just dealing out there. And I love Ranger. I love Ranger Suarez. I'm a Ranger Suarez stan. After 2021, you see his debut in 2018, 2019, he's kind of fine. He's fine. Then you get to 2021, and Joe Girardi, that moron, absolutely put Ranger Suarez through the ringer in that season. This is when I fell in love with him. He was a starter. Then he was the piggyback of Spencer Howard. Then he was the closer. Then he was a starter, and somehow, someway, still had a sub-2 ERA and 100-plus innings. It's just stupid what he did in that season. And then obviously ever since then, he has been one of the best left-handed pitchers in baseball. And this is his breakout year, everybody. This is Ranger Suarez's breakout season that we're witnessing in front of our eyes because this is the first time he's been healthy. He had a full, healthy spring training. He's been able to start on time. He doesn't have health complications at the moment, thank God, God willing. And he just looks so comfortable and looks so good. And he feels he's going to win a Gold Glove. He should have won it in 22, but the stupid rules. Oh, he didn't have one inning to qualify. Shut up. He had significantly more defensive runs saved than the guy who won it in significantly less innings. But that's besides the point of the baseball nerds. I don't care about them. I kind of do, but I'm not going to let them know that. Anyway, Ranger Suarez is one of the best pitchers in the game. And like I said, we'll get to Ranger Suarez a little bit later. When we talk about one of our new segments, which I'm very excited about. Then you get to tonight's game. The Phillies won 7-6. My player of the game was players, I should say. Kyle Schwarber had 2 home runs, and Christopher Sanchez, which a good bounce back for him. His past couple starts have been a little rocky. No pun intended. God, I hate myself for that. No pun intended with them playing the Colorado Rockies, I promise. Chris Sanchez, 6 innings, 5 hits, no earned runs, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts. Kyle Schwarber, like I mentioned, had 2 homers. Good for my homers only fantasy team. I think I read off my fantasy team to you guys before, but in case I didn't, I'm going to read. So I'm in a homers only league, and this is my team. I'm very proud of them. I have Kyle Schwarber, Rhys Hoskins, Manny Machado, JT Realmuto. I have Seiya Suzuki, which I actually need to put him on the bench because he just went on the IL. I have Vinny Pasquantino. I have Bomer, Lane Thomas, Josh Naylor, and Matt Chapman. I just picked up Matt Chapman. I got to do some reassessing of that team. But as of today, that's what my team looks like. So 2 points for me for Kyle Schwarber. Trey Turner went 3 for 5. Homer, single, double, triple away from the cycle. Like I mentioned in the opening, he's just been unreal. He is just so good at baseball. Defensively, a lot left to be desired, but offensively, look, if you're hitting the ball like he is, I don't care what you're doing. It was kind of the same story with Kyle Schwarber in 2022, how bad his offense was, but I did not care what Kyle Schwarber was doing in 2022, mostly because he was hitting the piss out of the ball. The one person I am worried about is Bryson Stott. He's hitting .213 over his last 15 games. I know he'll figure it out. He's been demoted, moved down to the 8 spot in the lineup. But am I worried? I don't think is the right word. I think it's just kind of like something to keep an eye out on. He's only hitting .213 in his last 15 games. Somebody who has looked much more comfortable at the plate, actually worked a walk tonight, is Johan Rojas. .263 in his last 7 games. He has looked much, much better offensively. I was a Pache believer at the beginning of the year when Rojas wasn't doing anything. Rojas is looking significantly more comfortable at the plate. He's not overthinking. He's working very good at bats, actually. He squared up a ball that would have been a homer in 3 other ballparks that wasn't Citizens Bank Park. So it's just it's good to see him finally starting to potentially turn the corner in terms of being a solid, fine, average offensive piece, because we know what he can do defensively. That is the reason he is still out there in center field, is for his defense. So it's good to see him kind of break out of that. And now we got to talk about the absolute dog water of a player. And that would be Greg Soto. Greg Soto, what a final line he had. A third of an inning, 3 hits, 5 earned runs. He definitely walked people. I just wrote that. I'm pretty sure he had 3 walks? 2 walks? 3 walks? Hold on, I'm getting the box. I just put it in wrong. Greg Soto had 2 walks. So a third of an inning, 3 hits, 5 earned runs, 2 walks, no strikeouts. His ERA is almost at 10. Greg Soto. It's the blow-ups. It's kind of the same problem he had last year where he just couldn't stop the bleeding in a big inning. He couldn't just stop it at 1 or 2 runs. It's always 3, 4, 5, 6 runs that he gives up. And this game became very tight for no reason. Greg Soto just couldn't locate the ball. He was walking everybody. He couldn't locate. Some of the calls in that inning were a little pinchy in terms of the home plate umpire. He was kind of stiffing him a little bit, but I'm not making that as the excuse. Like the ball was getting squared up significantly well. I just don't know what you do with Gregory Soto. I really don't. I don't understand. I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure he's going to go on a run of like 7 straight scoreless appearances and then give up 3 runs again. Like, this is just who Gregory Soto is. I think Phillies fans need to stop holding out hope, myself included, that he's going to be the next coming of Jose Alvarado, because I genuinely believe that is not going to be, that's not going to happen. We're not going to see the second reincarnation of Gregory Soto, of Jose Alvarado. However, I think Junior Marte might be that one. I think Junior Marte. Or is he Junior? Junior? I think it's Junior. Junior Marte might be that person because he has been very, very good. And my prediction from last year looks like I'm a smart baseball person. So, now I am very excited to unveil one of the brand new segments that will be a once-a-week thing here on .NET Phillies. Obviously, good friend of the show, Matt Saporsky, used to, he's been on a couple times, friend of the show, works for a certain network that I will not name for legal purposes that prevent him from being on this podcast, but I will not name the network. However, I wanted him to be here in spirit, mostly because Matt, one of my good friends and supporter of the pod, very, very generous with the support that he gives this show and ideas and everything like that. I decided, I alluded to it a little bit, that I would be bringing back, Remember Him. In that segment, in case you guys forgot, I would look back at old Phils to kind of remember, take a trip down memory lane with, different guys that came across in Phillies uniforms. I kind of did that a little bit with He Was a Phil. Then, it wasn't scratching the itch that I wanted it to. So I kind of went back to the drawing board, kind of, what do people want to do? What do baseball fans like doing? What do baseball fans like seeing, hearing about, everything like that? We love dingers. We love great pitching matchups. But one thing all baseball absolute sickos love doing is just randomly naming those random dudes that were just dudes for a little bit. That went on Linsanity runs, or just were in the league for a while, or may have came across this random team and had a really good postseason or really good end of the regular season. Whoever it may be, baseball fans love naming dudes. So, unveiling the Matt Saporsky Dude of the Week. In this segment, I'm going to ask Matt to just name a dude. Doesn't have to be a Phil. Can be a Phil. Can be a former Phil. Can just be a dude that was good, maybe not good, just off the top of your head. Naming dudes. Now, the dude that Matt gave to me this week, Matt's Dude of the Week, Jose Tabata. And I'm going to ask Matt for a quote every week about why he's the Dude of the Week. Matt said, quote, regarding Jose Tabata, quote, "Dude was a steady outfielder for those solid Pirates teams in the mid-teens. Also known as the guy who leaned into that pitch to break up Max Scherzer's perfect game." We all remember the lean-in Jose Tabata, it's kind of here and then kind of went like that during Max Scherzer's our perfect game as the last batter with 2 strikes. So kind of a scumbag move. But now, that's his Dude of the Week. That's who we thought of. So Jose Tabata played from 2010 to 2015, all with the Pittsburgh Pirates. He has a career .715 batting average with a career .713 OPS. So pretty solid. Like, he's just a dude. Like, this is the whole point of this show, and why I'm so happy that it's kind of coming together is we're just naming dudes, like just guys who were like, oh, remember that guy? He was a dude for a little while. The best year of Jose Tabate's career was definitely 2013. He played in 106 games, which was the most he ever played in a season. He batted .282 with 6 home runs, 33 RBIs, and a .771 OPS. So solid. He was a dude. And like, that again is the whole point, and why I love this segment and what this segment is going to do is because A, Matt's here with us in spirit. B, it just gives us a chance to just, as baseball sickos, to kind of be like, I remember that dude. That dude was sick because he did X, Y, Z. And it's just good to kind of look through that and everything. So thus concludes the first ever edition of Matt Saporsky's Hoot of the Week. Round of applause. We did it. Excellent content there. So now my minor league digest for this week, I really only have one note, and it's Aiden Miller. Man, Aiden Miller is going to be a problem for the rest of the league. I cannot believe that he fell to the Phillies like he did. He is going to be a dog for a long time for this Phillies team. He went 4 for 6 in the game against Dunedin yesterday, or was it 3 for 6? 3 for 6 or 4 for 6? One of them, he had a lot of hits, and his swing just looks compact and steady and ready to go, and he's just going to be so good. I'm so excited for Aiden Miller, and he's going to be so good. It just makes me so excited that the Phillies are actually like drafting and developing well on both sides of the ball, not just pitching. The Phillies development staff we have figured out pitching. Now we're trying to figure out hitting, and we're finally starting to see the boat turn. And it's just so great to be a Phillies fan right now because you have a great team on the field right now. You have promising prospects in the minor leagues. You have a competent front office who can draft and develop well, which is something that, admittedly, to John Middleton, has been an issue for the Phillies. And it's just a very, very, very exciting time to be a Phillies fan. So now, getting in and unveiling our second brand new segment. This is also going to possibly be once a week. It might be every episode, depending on the response, not only the response to it, but kind of what's there to talk about. For those of you who don't know, I do have a manager now, which is great. It's a great time. I'm official. And he has a lot of hot takes, when it comes to baseball, when it comes to life in general. So I am dubbing this series John's Hot Takes. This is where I'll go over a few hot takes that John has given me, whether it's baseball related, could be life related. I don't know, but I want to get John's hot takes out there because A, gives me more to talk about so I can really milk out these podcasts. And you guys can listen to my sweet, sweet, beautiful voice for a little bit longer than you normally would. And I always love podcasts that have different topics of conversation. It's not just XYZ, set. This is what we're doing, blah, 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 blah. I kind of like where it has segments. It has personality to it. It's not just me reading a news report to you, kind of how it was in the beginning. I'm trying to do different things. So if John wants to keep giving me his hot takes, by all means, let me cover that. Who am I to do? Dude, honestly, regular soda kind of tastes like booty cheeks compared to like diet or zero sugar. Like, that is a regular soft drink. It's just not good. Like, I just don't like it. Like, I feel like disgusting and fat drinking it. I just don't. Stick with water, kids. But John's hot takes. He gave me 3 today. Number 1, Ranger Suarez would be the ace of the staff of 12 teams currently in Major League Baseball. We kind of went back and forth with that because originally he said he would be the ace of most pitching staffs, and we kind of broke it down. I said, hold on, let me break this down a little bit. These were the 12 teams we agreed on that Ranger Suarez would be the ace of that team right now on April 17th, as of right now. I want to make that abundantly clear. Not at full health, not accident. No. Right now, today, if Ranger Suarez is traded to any of these teams, he would be the ace of that staff. I want to make that abundantly clear. Number one, the Chicago Cubs, the Colorado Rockies, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the New York Mets, the Washington Nationals, the Boston Red Sox, the Chicago White Sox, the Los Angeles Angels, the Oakland Athletics, the Milwaukee Brewers, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Texas Rangers. Those were the 12 teams that we both kind of agreed on that Ranger Suarez, if traded there, would be the ace of that staff. The Cubs, you have Imanaga there, which we don't know how sustainable his success has been. I hope it's a lot. I hope it's very sustainable because I like Imanaga. I think he's a solid under-the-radar pitcher. But as of right now, Ranger Suarez, in my opinion, and John's opinion, is better. The Rockies, obviously. The Pirates, they have dudes. You have Paul Skeens coming, but he's not there right now. The Mets, their pitching staff is actually performing much better than I think a lot of the league, including myself, anticipated. So that one might be a coin flip more than we think. Kind of the same thing with the Nationals. I mean, Mackenzie Gore is kind of coming into his own. Josiah Gray, we don't know the extent of his injury, but we'll see. The Red Sox, yeah, I think that one's pretty self-explanatory. The White Sox, again, I think that's very self-explanatory. Same thing with the Angels, Athletics. The Brewers is where it gets kind of interesting because obviously the Brewers traded Corbin Burnes. Now you have Freddie Peralta and Brandon Woodruff at the top of that rotation, and the Brewers are kind of a pitching factory where I'm sure they're going to, piece together somewhat of a competent rotation. But in my opinion and John's opinion, as of right now, I believe Ranger Suarez will be the ace of that staff. Same thing with the Rays. I mean, the Rays just aren't healthy. You have Zach Eflin at the top, but their entire rotation starting is on the IL. So as of right now, Ranger Suarez probably would be the best pitcher on that starting rotation. Same thing with the Rangers. They just have injuries left, right, and center. We're seeing Jack Leiter make his major league debut tomorrow because of the injuries that have been sustained to this Rangers bullpen. This Rangers pitching staff. So those were the 12 teams. And if you guys think there's more, just let me know in the comments, and we'll kind of talk about it. Those were the 12 teams that we both kind of agreed that Ranger Suarez would be the ace of if traded there. Now, here's another one pertaining to Ranger Suarez. It is John believes that Ranger Suarez is going to win the Cy Young Award this year. It's kind of wide open. With Spencer Strider, the favorite, kind of going down with Tommy John. It's kind of a wide open field. I mean, Corbin Burnes got traded to the American League, so that opens that up. You have injuries to a lot of these frontline guys. Obviously, he'll be battling with his teammate, Zach Wheeler, and even Aaron Nola. Like, the Phillies legitimately have 3 Cy Young Award winner, not favorites, but consideration at the top of the rotation. That's stupid. It's stupid what the Phillies are in position right now, but they are. And I think Ranger Suarez absolutely has the ability to do that. My only worry is, will he have enough innings? Obviously, he's coming off a complete game, but it's always been health with Ranger. If he's healthy, sure, why couldn't he do it? He's poised enough, he's calm enough, he's locked in enough to he can win it. I'm not depleting that fact from John, from anybody, that Ranger Suarez 100% could win the Cy Young Award. I'm not saying one way or another. It could happen. We really don't know, but John believes that he is the favorite to win the Cy Young Award this year. This is where it gets extremely hot. This is where it gets scorching hot. So John said, and I quote, "Bacon is overrated. However, chicken bacon is where it's at." First of all, I didn't even know what chicken bacon was. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought the two bacons were regular bacon, pork bacon, and turkey bacon. Apparently, chicken bacon is a thing, and he said it would, quote, "change my life forever." I don't know about that one, John, but I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to try chicken bacon to kind of put this to rest, but bacon's so good. Like, come on. Like, it's not overrated. I feel like overrated has such like a connotation behind it because we immediately think that it's bad if it's overrated. But a lot of people swear by bacon, so I understand from that standpoint why you're like, oh, it's overrated. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good. When in reality, it's very good, but the way people carry on about it is where I draw the line of, no, it's not that good. It's fine on its own, but it's not that good. But John believes that bacon is extremely overrated, and chicken bacon is far, far superior to the regular bacon. So thus concludes John's hot takes. So 2 new segments, everybody. We're really becoming a show here. Now wrapping it up with the series preview against the Chicago White Sox. So they play Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. We have Spencer Turnbull versus Garrett Crochet. We have Zach Wheeler versus former Brave Mike Soroka. And the rubber match, we have Aaron Nola versus Nick Nastrini. So the White Sox stink. Just take care of business. Sweep them. The White Sox offense is so bad, and their pitching is so bad. They just win. Just win. Like, that's all you need to do is just win. They're not going to score runs. You're going to wallop this pitching, especially how hot these bats are starting to become. It sucks we have this off day here, but it's kind of necessary. But just do your job. Take care of business. We know what this team has to do. We know what this team has the ability to do, and they're finally starting to turn around. And that's going without Castellanos, without Rojas for the most part, and honestly without Stott. And they're still finding, and really without Harper either. They're finding ways to win games despite all of their flaws on offense, and they're rising up through the pitching staff. So just take care of business. We know what we need to do. We took care of business against the Rockies. We swept them. I don't see why they couldn't sweep the White Sox either. They have that in them. They just need to hunker down, do what they need to do, and take care of business. But that is going to do it for me. Thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for bearing with me. I will be back probably Monday night because I will be at Ashland's this weekend, so I won't have that ability to record. But thank you guys so much for listening. Follow all the socials down below, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys then.
Recording stopped.